So this past weekend during Pro Tour Dublin, Ireland, or whatever you want to call it, Pro Tour Ether Revolt, there were two players playing in round 8, Thien Nguyen and Cesar Segovia, I think is what his name was. And pretty early into the game, about 10 minutes in, there was an issue going on with like rulings. So essentially during combat, what he was trying to do was he was trying to crew his Heart of Kirin and get a trigger off of one of his creatures at the same time. But when he made the announcement, he made it like how someone normally would, and they'd say combat. This was understood as moving beyond the combat phase into enter the attacker's phase. Now, the actual situation goes a little bit deeper than that. I'm not really that big of a rules expert, and I don't want to try and delve into it and like shoot myself in the foot because I really don't know the rulings of the game. I mean, it's not like I'm a complete and total idiot, but come on, I'm not a pro. Let's be honest. I'm just some idiot who spouts his useless trash garbage opinion out and then have other people make fun of me for my appearance and stuff. You know, normal YouTube stuff. So as a result, Thien Nguyen called over a judge to look over the entire situation. And a lot of people are saying that he's rules lawyering and some other people saying that he's not. But the majority is that he had rules lawyered that situation. And one of the other issues of that was a language barrier because Caesar is not a native English speaker. He's from Panama, I believe, or some country that's obviously not in America. So the judges were trying to mull over the situation and trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And it all came down to essentially, so it seems that Caesar was trying to crew his Heart of Kirin at the beginning of his combat step while also actually getting a trigger off of a second creature. And due to how the rulings work, like as I said before, I don't know exactly, there was a discrepancy to how he was playing, or not a discrepancy, it was a mistake that he had made. But essentially it got overshadowed completely by the fact that when he announced that he was entering the combat step, his opponent understood as him attacking the declare attacker step, which is separate from entering the combat step, obviously. So it essentially became an issue of this Thien guy essentially taking advantage of Caesar unwillingly entering the attacker step and skipping the entire combat step as a whole and skipping triggers and being able to crew and all of that stuff. And it's funny watching the video because as they're talking to the judges about it and the judges are talking amongst themselves behind and they come back and try to talk to Caesar about it, you can understand that Caesar doesn't speak English that well and the judges try to make their ruling right then and there without like consulting somebody who speaks the same native language as him or anything like that. Just, in my opinion, is a little bit disrespectful, but whatever. So he appealed the ruling and they got a judge that could speak his native language, and they went through the whole process and they still assessed that Caesar was ultimately in the wrong and that the game would just go on as normal and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people were pissed off about this because, Thien Nguyen pretty much essentially rules lawyered at the Pro Tour. That's just like right there, right at the epicenter of the forefront, the promotional tour. It's just right there, rules lawyering. And there are some people in the community that really can't stand rules lawyers. And to a certain extent, I agree with them. I don't like it when people will take tiniest little things about the rules and use it to their full advantage to gain an advantage over any opponent pretty much at any time. And that is pretty scummy to a certain extent. You also have to think like, are these people just being rules lawyers, or is this person trying to adhere to the rules as much as they can because they're pretty much at the highest echelon of competitive play of Magic? I can understand why people would rules lawyers in large events like that. In smaller events like your FNM, yeah, get the fuck out of here with that rules lawyer bullshit, alright? I don't care if I slam down a Lord of Atlantis in my standard deck, just let me do it, okay? And I was gonna make a video prior to this one discussing about, rules lawyering and how scummy it is and all that stuff, and I was totally riding on that wave of like, fuck this Thien Nguyen guy, and just, I was actually going to make another I don't like video series, whatever you want to call it, on rules lawyering itself, and I think I still might in the future. But another thing came up with this whole thing. I think I just did this weird tongue thing. Another situation came up earlier today that was posted on Thien Nguyen's Facebook page. Now, from what I understand, his Facebook page is private, so this screenshot of what he was talking about was shared publicly. So this is what Thien Nguyen writes on his Facebook status. It's, after a great start, I was hoping to just shake off what happened in the first day of Pro Tour Dublin. Unfortunately, I play a terrible villain and couldn't shake off the haters. I couldn't play a single round today without feeling absolutely awful. I couldn't look at my opponents in the eyes because of all the negativity sent my way. I can't talk correctly. I had to leave the convention center to cry in between rounds every round. I love Magic more than anything else in my life. I've always wanted to make meaningful contributions. There I go again, can't talking correctly. Blah, 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 blah. Regardless, the point is this guy is like trying to play victim. In my mind, personally, maybe I'm just a bad person and shitting on someone who's like expressing their dissent to the whole entire situation or whatever. But to me personally, it just comes off as very playing the victim card. So after that post was shared publicly, he posted in Reddit afterwards saying, "This was posted in my personal Facebook page and was meant to be for friends, blah, 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 blah. I am sorry for the rules lawyering to gain an advantage. I apologize to Caesar and we were cordial the entire day. I'm sorry to the Magic community for tainting the spirit of sportsmanship. I'm pretty liberal and blah, blah, blah. I was eventually going to make a post, blah, 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 and whatever." So the way that this comes across, for me personally, is that this Thien Nguyen guy he admitted to playing the villain card. You know, he had rules lawyered. He was aware that he was rules lawyering. And then the next day after, he posts this pity party status of crying about, you know, oh, he can't stand all the hate or all the pressure because he did something scummy in a public event. Like, fuck off. Seriously, when people try to do that shit, and it's kind of like if I were to take, you know, a handgun, shoot somebody in the kneecaps, and then afterwards, like the next couple days, just be like, I can't believe I did that. I'm so sorry. You know, that's a terrible analogy. So yeah, this entire situation is just fucked, from like the whole rules lawyering thing to just starting this conversation of whether or not this rule should be in place or if it should be reworded. It should be reworded, in my opinion. You know, I really don't think in the future shit like this should not happen because I say move to combat. You know, I'm pretty sure if I were to Google right now MTG combat and someone enters combat, they don't immediately go to declare attacker step. You know, when I go and play Magic the Gathering online and I enter out of main phase 1, it goes to the beginning of combat phase, and then I have a period to react, you know, hit the OK button or F2 or whatever, and then I can go to declare attacker step. Whenever I'm playing in my main phase and then I say declare attacks, that's because I'm moving to my declare attacker step. If I'm playing into my main phase and I say combat, that means I'm moving in the beginning of my combat step, so that way I can cast tap spells to tap down opponent's stuff whenever it's their combat step, you know? Makes sense, right? But no, I guess apparently not, and people are throwing shit at each other because, you know, it's r/Magic TCG and that place is a fucking hell pit to begin with. I don't even know at this point. I have no idea what I'm talking about, you know, rules lawyering and people crying on the left, people crying on the right. You know, this guy feels really bad because he rules lawyered somebody and he's like throwing out words like suicide and depression, trying to make us all feel bad. And, you know, it's just all bullshit. I personally think it's all bullshit. And, you know, if he actually legitimately does feel that way, then, you know, joke's on me, I look like the asshole. But until then, I genuinely, sincerely believe that this guy doesn't really actually feel sorry. As I sit here editing this whole thing, you know, I kind of mull over the whole depression and suicide thing as if it's kind of like this whole non-option. I'm like making fun of him for that. And I don't want to say like, you know, haha, fuck you or anything like that. You know, if this guy feels that way, he's obviously allowed to feel that way. And if for some reason my video has brought any grievance upon him that he already has, you know, I personally apologize. But regardless, you know, even if you have these issues going on in your life, don't try to like use those words to try and like gain sympathy. That was the point that I was trying to make. If you have these feelings and depression and suicide is that big of an issue in your life or was beforehand, I don't want to knock that again. Don't you think this fucking shirt is sweet? I think it is. Fucking tie-dye Jurassic Park. Get a look at those man titties. Desolator Magic. So in the end, if you deal with a rules lawyer like this, you know, it might not end up working in your favor and it might end up working in their favor and you'll get fucked over and they'll gain an advantage and then they'll try and post on Facebook if they get flamed on by a bunch of Redditors or whatever because the internet likes to witch hunt people.
But Tasty Snackies, you can't really use that whole witch hunt thing when you made like 30 minutes worth of video talking about Desolator Magic. You fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, okay, I understand. I know that I'm a hypocrite, okay? I essentially have based my channel off the fact that I'm, like, inconsistent and hypocritical and arrogant or whatever. And you know what? If you like it, subscribe. If not, unsubscribe. Regardless, comment, like, all that jazz and whatever. Anyways, I'm Tasty Snackies. You all have been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff. They call me Jeff.